We're also looking at General Motors beating the top and bottom line in its fourth quarter 2023 estimates. To break down what we learned from the car maker's earnings call today, we have Yahoo Finance reporter Pras Subramanian with the latest. Hey, Pras.
Hey, Rochelle. So yeah, Mary Barra and CFO Paul Jacobson on the call, giving a bit more color from the earnings release. The stock up a lot today. Very good beat there on the both top and bottom line, like you mentioned, but also really strong guidance from a profitability point of view, which I want to note a couple of things beyond that as well in the call that sort of caught my eye and other people's sort of attention spans here. So first off, EVs, Mary Barra saying on the call, as opposed to actually in the release, that the company intends to build around 250,000 EVs or sell them this year. That was sort of below what they originally had before when they withdrew their guidance of 400,000 or so cars for 2024. So we're seeing a little bit of a dip there in terms of the amount of EVs they want to sell, as they say that the sort of the landscape is changing and there's a little bit of uncertainty there. And then also Cruise. Cruise is their autonomous unit that they own a majority stake in. That company also has, of course, a number of black eyes here with accidents and the company's response to that, which was criticized by both, regulators and government people as well. So Mary Barra talking about how they want to pull out $1 billion in costs out of Cruise, make it a bit more of a venture that's not so costly. But the question is, what's next for the company in terms of their product? Is it going to be, they can't necessarily do a level 5 fully autonomous driving. What does that mean? Is it a 2+? Is it 3? We're looking at that, and I think there's some questions as to what the future is for that company. And finally, I mentioned profitability. They're guiding to about 12 to 14 billion in adjusted EBIT for the year. Wall Street sort of applauding that, but some analysts like Adam Jonas a little bit concerned, stating that they think that such a high guide, quote, potentially sets the company up for disappointment. We see downside. This is in part a comment that he had. GM's biggest challenge is execution of its EV and AV strategy, where it has many billions of dollars to reduce expenses. So a little bit of concern there, but not necessarily for shareholders today, as the stock is up a lot following their earnings release.
Yeah, Pras, let's talk about the EV strategy here. Obviously, Mary Barra getting some questions around specifically, what that guide to profitability looks like within the EV space in the face of a pullback in demand. And yet we've also heard from GM talking about plug-in hybrids now coming to market. How do you sort of weigh the two in how GM's looking at the market right now?
Well, they're talking about how they can be flexible with their production and shift production to hybrids in the face of changing consumer demand. If, for example, they're seeing that trend continue where consumers are saying, we want hybrids as opposed to EVs. The question is, they don't have that many hybrids out right now, and they don't even have any hybrid trucks at this point. They just are sort of going to bring that on board at some point. So I think there's a question there about how they can actually do this. Secondly, you mentioned the EVs and profitability. Paul Jacobson talking about how they need to hit around 200,000 EV run rate or sell through for the year in order to see some gains in terms of EBIT margin profitability, low to single digit numbers here. We're talking about really granular data here, but that's what they're looking at in terms of profitability for EVs. And they need to hit at least 200,000 in terms of scale to make that happen.
Okay, we'll be watching there. Pras Subramanian on top of all those numbers coming out of GM. Thanks so much.